Good morning everybody, and welcome to the latest video on building the DJH 2MT 260 kit. And well, I've managed to engineer myself a little bit of time so that I can make another program for you, but you must bear with me because I'm using a new microphone system. I'm not using a microphone mounted on the camera. This is my microphone. There are two of them, but I only need one for this particular program. So it's very much a, well, experimental program. I'm sorry to experiment on you, but there it is. So I managed to engineer myself a little bit of a time away from the real railway, making videos for other things. And so if you remember, we got to this stage with the chassis the last time. So what we've got is we've got a chassis with the connecting rods fitted. I've soldered some DCC wire onto the motor so I can at least make it go round. For the moment, all the plungers and everything are wired up. I haven't fitted the DCC socket yet because I'm nowhere near that stage. Oh, and of course this is the drawbar for the tender, this bit hanging out the back. So what we're going to do today is what I'm going to do today is I'm going to try and continue adding the motion, and well, we'll see how far we get with it. I've got my usual companion, Boris. If you don't know, his head's off here, so but you can see the rest of him as usual. So what we'll do, I'll reposition the camera, get the lighting rig out, and we'll take it from there. Not going to be very much soldering, if any, in this episode. All it's going to be is just screwing the motion together or fixing the motion together. Okay, here we are back, and we've got all our various bits and pieces here. So the motion bracket, if you remember from the last time, we fixed the lubricator drives on the motion bracket. They may need a little bit of adjustment, but we'll worry about that a little bit later. Then we've got the various bits of motion that we've assembled in the past. Now I've got no idea how this is going to work or what order to do it in. There's no point having a practice and then taking it all apart for the purpose of the video. So what we're going to do is it'll be a bit of a journey of discovery. So we'll see what's happened. So I've got a little packet there with some 14BA stuff in. These are the stuff that's required for the centre driving axles, and well, we'll see how it goes. So what we'll do is we'll start with the coupling rod and all the bits that are necessary for that. So there is the coupling rod, which I've made up with the piston rod and the valve spindle in it. So we'll start off with this one, which is the side nearest me. Of course it's the side nearest me. So what we'll do is we'll assemble that without the motion bracket on board first and see how it goes. Ooh, yeah, well, I need about 54 hands to do this. Let's try again. So if everything has been drilled out correctly. And there you go. It's reasonably okay, but we've got something that needs to be attached to this hole, if you can see it. So we need to think about doing that before we seat it all. we can seat the connecting rod first. So we'll do that. And this is why I keep all these little bags, because they're so useful for putting stuff away if you need them in a sort of same place. So we'll do that, and we'll do that. So that's seated okay. It's a little bit stiff, but it's not nothing major yet. Nothing major to worry about. Okay, so motion bracket. So the motion bracket fits in this slot in the chassis, like that. I don't know if this is going to work. I did say that it was going to be a bit of a bodge. Right. So might have to put this on before we put the coupling rod back. I don't want to bend it or force it for obvious reasons. Yeah, we're going to, sorry, start again. I did say that it was going to be a bit of a no idea what order to do it in, but it looks like this has got to go on first. So we'll put that back on first. And we'll screw it up. So there's the motion bracket, screwed back on, 2 M2 screws, and well, we'll have another go at putting the connecting rod. So this is going to be a little bit more awkward now. So we've got to go in from this side. Yeah, this is pretty awkward. So be careful, because remember the crosshead is white metal, so it could be damaged easily. You know, this isn't going to work. So what we're going to have to do, we're going to have to take the motion bracket off and try a different method. Okay, I've got it all on. I've got it all on now. I've had to do both sides rather than do one side at a time. All I can say is this: if you've done it the way that I've done it, be careful with the motion bracket. Although it's laminated, substantial bit of the model, it is relatively easy to bend it. So just be careful if you have to use a bit of force to get it back. So anyway, I've got it in place now. So what we'll do is we'll fit the screws, and then we'll start worrying about the other bits. So Yeah, because I've got big sausages, I can't get my fingers in to hold the screw, so that's what the tweezers are for. And you can pull the piston rods out a bit like I've done so that you can get to the top of the combination lever. I've had a bit of a mishap with the chassis while I was doing all that. I lost one of the cylinder drain pipes, but I'll fix that on a bit later. I'll resolder it on. I've been using Araldite and that, which is not really the best method. So we'll clean it up and fix it on later. If there's a little bit of paint touching up necessary, we can do that as well. And there we have the motion bracket, the coupling rod and the initial bit of the motion. Now what we'll do is we'll discard that and we'll go to this bag. This bag has got the other bits in that are necessary in a couple of bits or in a couple of assemblies. So these are the rods that's attached to the top of here. So we'll have a go at doing those. They are handed, so just be careful. They may need it. Well, what I didn't clean them up very well from when I soldered them, so we'll just clean them up a little bit. And make sure you get the fluting on the outside, because the rear of the rods are not fluted. So you can see that there's a bit of fluting in the side, so they are handed. Now there's a little bit of an issue with these in that they have to pass through the middle of the expansion link, and I did check that there was enough room before I did it. In theory, there is enough room, so there it is. That's one side done, and we'll fix that up off camera. And well, we'll assemble it all up off camera because it is quite fiddly, and well, you don't want to see me struggling with 14BA nuts and bolts for 10-15 minutes with nothing much being said. So I'll fix both of them off camera and show you when it's done. I know that it's not really a very good way of doing it, but it's, well, it is what it is. Okay, so I've made the modification like this. If you can see, I've soldered a 12BA nut on the back of this part and basically filed it down using, you know, normal needle file and the sanding disc. And now that is how it looks. I've actually managed to get it in a reasonable position. So now what we need to do is join this bit up to there, like that. I did say it was a fiddly job. And we need to basically get the motion all synchronized. So what I'm going to do, I've got to go off camera again to finish the other one. So I'll finish the other one off camera, and then we'll come back to fixing the last two bits of the motion, and then we'll see how it goes when we hand manipulate it. Okay, so we're finally back, and what we've got is we've got the eccentric, and there is just one last thing to do. I mean, that's not too bad. It's quite free running for the moment. There might be a little bit of fettling needed later. There's the prospect of the end of the middle crank pin actually rubbing on the back of this, although I've used a washer to space it out. Now the next thing to do is actually the hardest thing to do, and what we've got to do is there is a tiny hole in the expansion link in this, that what we've got to do is we've got to get a bit of wire through it so that it engages in a hole in this bit. So we'll try that. What I'll do is I'll do it off camera again, because well, there might be a certain amount of bad language involved in doing it. What I'm going to do, I'm not going to use I'm not going to use a bolt because it's very close to this bit here. So what I'll do is I've got some. I might actually. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to use a piece of 8mm wire. Yeah, let's not mess around. We'll just use a piece of 8mm wire. Here's a piece of 8mm wire. Just cut a length off this, a couple of pieces off this, and I'll try and do it, and then I'll come back and show you when it's all done. I mean, there is very little point of me staying on camera while I do this, because, well, everyone is going to have their own preferences for doing this, and like I said right at the start when we started doing this bit, it is a certain amount of a voyage of discovery. So you will need to see what suits you best and go with it. There is no hard and fast rule for doing this. So allow me to just go off screen. I've just got to put these last two bits of rod through, and then the motion will be completed, and we'll see again how it goes when we hand operate it. Okay, so we have, well, we're almost there with the motion. I've fixed the part that I mentioned in here. I originally said that I was going to use 8mm wire. Well, the 8mm wire was too thick to actually fit. So what I've done instead, I've used 0.5, and that has worked. So I managed to get it through the small hole that I drilled in this. In retrospect, I would have done it in a different order. I would have fixed this part to this before I inserted it in the motion bracket, but it is what it is. I you know, you live and learn. If I ever made another one of these, that would be the way that I would do it. So now all I've got to do is I've just got to put, I've got a little bit of Loctite screw lock here, and what I'm going to do, I'm just going to go round and add it to various strategic places just to hold stuff in place so it doesn't come unscrewed. So the front bearing, the rear crank pin, and the same on the other side, and then I'll just manipulate it round for you to just show you that it does actually work. Now there is a certain amount of tidying up still to do, and there are still some parts still to put on this. So there is the reversing mechanism which engages with that slot on both sides. Got that to do. Now I'll just show you. So there's a little bit of a tight spot there, but goes quite well. So that is that's the motion fitted to the chassis. The next thing that we'll do when I have time to make another program, we will be doing the marrying up of this to the body and also the lubricator drives and any other bits of motion that are still outstanding. Oh, I've soldered the cylinder drain cocks back, and there's a little bit of paint work to tidy up, but I can do that offline. I can do that downstairs. So thank you for joining me and watching these videos. I hope the microphone system has worked satisfactorily. Some of you have passed comment on the other videos where I lost the sound. These ones, these little black ones that I've used that I showed you at the start, they actually record on the thing as well as via my camera. So I've got two sources of what I've said now. So hopefully we shouldn't have any more problems, because if my camera doesn't pick up, I can copy the file off the set that I'm wearing and substitute it. So live and learn. New toys. Santa bought me those, by the way. And well, thank you for watching, and join me again soon where we'll move on with building the DJH 2MT 260 kit. Thank you.